Market Peak with Seth and Matt. All right, well, here we go. Welcome, everybody. This is Seth and Matt with Market Peak, P-E-E-K, and today is Wednesday, March 7th, and we're going to be talking about a couple things. One, we're going to be doing a stock feature. It's our penny pick, TTCM, Tata Chrome. So, I don't know, sounds like somebody who gave some lessons to a well-known browser out there. Yeah, I taught a Chrome. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, it's whatever.
You just wanted to use that sound effect.
I had to do something with it, right? So Matt's going to have his 3 charts. We're always make our predictions. And once again, we're not financial advisors. None of this is official advice. And we do have a couple little news stories we're going to be talking about. Subscribe over there, like down here. If you want to give us a few, that's fine. See how much you like us. We get it. Our last video is actually about 50% subscriber rate that watched it, which is pretty awesome. So we want to thank all the subscribers that are coming back.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. So as far as moves we made, I'm not even going to, I didn't do anything on my Robinhood account, but I did buy 30,000 shares of TTCM. And you're like, whoa, that's a ton of shares, bro. It's a penny stock, for real, but we're gonna get into that. And I just, I have a little note right here. For now, fuel cell can kiss my ass. I'm just saying. Down 7.5%, 8% today. It's been just, falling like a bag of bricks. So all this stuff about fuel cells and we're going to have all this clean energy and Joe Biden, apparently nobody cares. So, but you actually brought up something which I wasn't aware of. You said Biden is willing to negotiate a business tax rate. So yeah, so please explain this whole, I didn't see it. I'm pulling it up here. I didn't realize who does he even negotiate with? That's the question, but please.
So if they jam this next round of stimulus through via reconciliation, he doesn't need any Republican support technically.
Sure.
Although there are some moderate Democratic senators, a la Joe Manchin of West Virginia, who are kind of on the fence and not really sure whether or not they want to move forward with this corporate tax rate hike.
Sure.
Obviously, they're proposing a 7% hike from 21 to 28%. There's another thing at play, and that's the fact that most Democrats are aware that if you raise the corporate taxes at this point, you risk crashing the stock market. So that's another factor at play.
I guess, yeah, sure.
And look, the reason why Democrats want to raise corporate tax rates is because they want to try and offset some of the spending in this infrastructure bill,
totally.
Right? That would be the responsible thing to do. At the same time, we've already spent trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. We're running twin deficits, import-export deficit, and a budget deficit. And the value of the dollar has not really decreased,
that much,
as much as you'd expect. I mean, we're getting some inflation coming through right now, some monetary inflation. That's to be expected.
Sure.
But right now, the question in my mind is, do we really need to raise corporate tax rates or any tax rates, even on the wealthy at all at this point? Is that a great idea? Can we get away with low tax rates? Which I think the stock market has probably priced in, without diluting the buying power of the dollar.
Sure.
Can we keep spending and not work, without having to worry about runaway inflation?
Sure.
And, my guess is that Democrats are going to find a way to satisfy the progressive wing of their base and satisfy, let's be honest, a lot of the corporate interests that bankroll their campaigns.
Sure.
And maybe close some corporate tax loopholes, maybe raise the corporate tax rate by a little bit, but
maybe that was the plan. Let's go for 28 so we can negotiate down to 25 or something like that.
Exactly. They're gonna take care of the stock market at the end of the day, in my opinion.
I agree.
That's kind of what matters.
Here's the thing. I mean, so I think they got to do something that they have to raise taxes. It's been cut. The more we cut, the more the deficit goes up. So they're going to have to raise taxes somewhere. Where it happens, I'm not going to jump into it. That's not for me to decide. But, if you think about it from a logical standpoint, taxing the people that have all the money as opposed to taxing the people that don't, for going to extremes, obviously taxing the people that have money is really going to be the way to go. So, and it's interesting because JP Morgan boss, Jamie Dimon, or Dimon, but Diamond, plans for significantly less office space. Expected to need 60 seats for every 100 people, people moving out of London and into Europe. So he's expecting to not have nearly as much office space. So it looks like 40%, they're going to just allow those people to work at home. He's expecting to move people out of the London thing because he feels that Europe is going to benefit more from the Brexit thing. So it's going to be more beneficial for them, unfortunately, to leave London. He also, interestingly enough, called for raising minimum wage, increasing taxes on the wealthy, and eliminating tax break benefits for private equity firms for race cars and private jets and stuff like that. So he's all for taxing the companies. He's all for taxing the wealthy, which of course would be, he didn't say anything about corporate tax rate, business rate, because obviously he's in a bank and that wouldn't be, prudent. But he probably thinks that that's probably not a bad idea also. But that's interesting because we were talking about this. We've mentioned this quite a bit on this show. What's going to happen when everything ends with COVID and people start going back to the work, back to the office, and whether or not that's going to happen. And if one of the biggest banks in the world is saying 40% of their people are going to be working remotely or at home, that can kind of send a signal to the rest of the, sector, in addition to other sectors as well, that, this is working for them. It could probably work for other companies.
Yeah. Work from home might be like a more permanent trend.
Sure.
Really quickly. So if you think about big banks, those big bullion banks, and how many U.S. treasuries they own, it might benefit them if the dollar and, T-bills started to rally a little bit.
Sure.
If we got some price action there. That is just pure speculation.
Yeah.
So like if he's coming out and saying, get rid of this deficit, let's solve this, let's strengthen the dollar. I mean, he might be on the right side of that trade.
But look at what China's we talk about currency manipulation. They've kept the currency very, very low on purpose, so they can keep creating more business and people keep buying stuff over there. Yada yada yada, and it's been working. So it's interesting. Like obviously, we want to roll a strong dollar, and here we go, and hoorah. We're America, but at the same time, like there are benefits to going the other way as well. And we're kind of seeing a little bit of it now. I can't remember what the index is that you had us look at, but it was like 91, 92 cents. It was a little bit lower. So we'll see.
A weak dollar can be really good for risk assets.
Yeah, true.
As we've seen.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say weak, on a relative basis, but,
Sure. All right, so we're going to jump into our feature stock, which is TTCM, and this is an interesting one, I have to say. And we researched it, we looked it up. Matt did a lot of research on this, so good job over there. It's but even doing all this research, we're kind of like, what is it like? It's interesting. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and look into what's happened recently with it. It's been trading around 1 cents, 2 cents. And what I like about this jump, it jumped up to about 2.2 cents, 2.3 cents. And what I like about it is that was off of news. There was a lawyer that came in with some patent information, yada, yada, yada. And so when that happened, it actually jumped up. Of course, people are like, oh, we made some money. Let's go ahead and sell. And of course, it went right back down almost. It actually settled a little higher than where it was. It's been trading relatively flat since then. But it's had some interesting price action. But the cool thing about it is actually based on news and not just some pump and dump bullcrap. But anyway, please go ahead. You did a lot of research on this, and then we'll talk about it a little bit.
So
more.
I'm still doing research on this one. I'm still trying to get a grip of how some of these emerging image authentication via blockchain processes work.
Sure.
So Chrome, as an OTC company right now. They're pretty close to launching their application platform. They're also an ICO. The coin is called Click, KLK, and that is the currency that users can leverage to basically perform certain tasks and buy things on the ArcNet, which is an augmented reality platform.
Sure.
Okay, so there are basically two aspects to this company right now. One, Clixy, which is its own application, and we'll get into that in a second. And two, ArcNet, which is an augmented reality platform.
I actually downloaded the ArcNet app or something. I looked into it a little bit, but it's out there already.
Okay. So we'll start with Clixy. Clixy, the concept of Clixy is that it allows users on their mobile devices, mobile phones, to blockchain store authentication data for images
and videos.
So in images, you have a timestamp, right? And that's an embedded piece of information.
Sure.
And sometimes you have watermarks, but the watermark actually has to, be placed there by the person who took the photo.
Yeah.
Right? And what Clixy basically does is it leverages blockchain technology to allow users to not only verify the authenticity of an image, of their own images, but they can actually trace their images as they travel throughout the internet.
Which is
so
awesome.
You can, yeah. And this is where I'm still having trouble understanding exactly how this works. So you'll be able to, according to David LaMountain, the creator of ArcNet, trace your photo, find out who's using your photos, who's augmenting your photos and posting them, who's monetizing your photos. So it gets really granular.
Sure.
And this kind of a feature, there are a ton of use cases for it. But the thing that really interests me, and the reason why I think Clixy will be really successful, is because it's also like a social sharing platform.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So, all social networks these days are image based.
TikTok,
right?
Instagram.
Yeah. Short videos.
Vine
images.
for a little bit of time.
Vine. Yeah. What had happened to Vine?
Dude, they didn't turn into TikTok. That's what happened.
Okay.
So Facebook was like, oh, we'll do videos too. And Instagram was like, oh, we can do videos too. And Vine was like, it just disappeared.
Can't compete.
Yep.
RIP Vine. Cheers to Vine.
Yep. Right. Sure.
So, and one other kind of benefit is that while on the Clixy application platform, users who do verify photos and go through the process, the time it takes to do that, actually are rewarded with KLK tokens.
Yeah.
Which then they can go and use.
It's kind of like mining, so to speak.
Yeah. Okay, that's a pretty good comparison.
Sure.
I would say. So that's Clixy in a nutshell. Let's move on to ArcNet. ArcNet is what really interests me about this, and that's hold on, you froze a little bit there.
Yeah, I got I was just showing the actual app if you pull it up.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So ArcNet is an augmented reality platform. And the big innovation here is that it kind of blends augmented reality, that user experience, with a social networking platform.
Yeah.
So basically imagine this. Imagine being on the ArcNet platform, creating your own profile, right? Taking pictures of, say, yourself at Times Square, okay? And uploading that experience onto the ArcNet augmented reality platform, right? So in other words, you take your phone, okay, take some images, you upload them, you modify them, right? And other users, say walking in Times Square or just, remotely exploring that area, other users on ArcNet will be able to see your profile, see the images you've taken, right? They can interact with those. They can follow you. They can share those. They can help you verify those photos, right? And that's kind of like the core premise.
Sure.
of the social
Sure.
networking aspect. Now, when it comes to like business use cases, imagine walking in a mall, and say this is like the near future. You're wearing, your Google glasses or
Vuzix.
Apple augmented glasses. Yeah, Vuzix, excuse me, and
Duh.
Vuzix, duh. And you're walking past a storefront that is using the Clixie app and using the ArcNet app. And suddenly, without even having to walk in, you can see a price list, right?
Yeah.
It appears on your display, right? You can see anything image or video based,
Sure.
right? You'll be able to access so long as that store owner, right, has created an ARC profile.
Sure. Sure.
With information that you can view publicly as a user on the ArcNet platform.
Yeah.
Businesses across the world, right, can sell their goods, right, or advertise, market themselves on ArcNet. So what this does is it pretty much gets rid of any physical or social distance between like a customer and a seller.
Sure.
Right. They're envisioning the creator is envisioning this big global map whereby ArcNet users can literally travel to any region remotely on the platform and explore.
Sure.
Explore other people's profiles, explore other businesses' profiles, follow them. So like the potential here is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I hope that explanation sort of made sense. I try to keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah, and I think also like with these stores, because you can have, video and stuff like that. I mean, if you have your glasses and stuff like that, and there's a specific store, I would imagine as things become to, continue to evolve, you'll literally be able to walk around that store or walk around that museum or whatever with,
exactly.
with this platform. What really interests me is this whole thing with the pictures or the video saying, you get the watermark, you get the data on there that links it back to you. You can see where it's gone from there. And what I like about that, eventually that's where all this stuff is going. You have all these Instagram, models or influencers or even stars and other platforms that take these pictures. And, you can go on any platform, just for the most part, click and drag, put it on, your desktop or whatever, or even do a screenshot, drag it onto your desktop and use it however you want. But it's not going to be that long into the future where this is the way it's going to be. You take a picture and you're going to own it and it's going to be traceable and you're not going to be able to do that anymore. So I feel like, these guys or gals are pioneering, this whole technology and this whole movement to where people have more ownership of the content that they put out into the world. And that's where I really think this could really, really take off because, I would imagine, the Kardashians or LeBron James or whatever takes a cool picture and he sees it all the way. I don't know if they'll actually, the Kardashians will probably, did you see Kardashians are like suing somebody because somebody posted a unedited photo? Like they did the photo shoot, but the unedited version, like the airbrush version got out and they're trying to like sue them to like take it down or whatever. But anyway, I'm just jumping off topic here. But it just gives people ownership and the ability to track like really high-end photographers that want credit for this stuff. You'll be able to...
Their intellectual property.
Yeah, pretty much. So I just think that's the direction a lot of this stuff is going from a professional standpoint. Right now, it's kind of the wild, wild west. You can just, any image out there, just drag it. And it's not that big of a deal, but I feel like the people that really, really want their content protected, this is going to be the beginning of being able to do that at a user-based level. You're not going to have to like have some crazy technology or create an NFT or any of that stuff. So that's what's up, man.
Yeah, interesting.
100%. 100%. So it's it's really cool what they're doing. I think they're definitely making a movement into the future. If you look, it's 1.3 cents right now. It's not that expensive. Had a little bit of dump at the end, but let's face it, only has to go down 0.1% to go, to dump. It was up like 15, 16% earlier today, finished up 7.44%. it's definitely far off from when it had that jump not that long ago. But once again, the fact that the jump was on news is really, really positive, because that means it's not something that just got pumped for no reason. I think what they're doing is really awesome. So that's what's up, man. Yeah. Any other last minute thoughts or anything like that?
No. I'm just mulling over your use case analysis there for ClickSea, and I think I mean you said it perfectly there. It allows you to protect your images, your intellectual property,
sure,
and track it. And interesting, yeah.
Yep. So they have a Facebook page. They have, I showed you the website. It's all there. They have a Twitter, all that. You can go ahead and follow them. Just look up Tata Chrome Inc. And you can see all that stuff. Actually, interesting bit of news. So this is actually April 5th. This wasn't that long ago. What is it, the 7th now? This will come out tonight, maybe tomorrow. So this is only a couple of days ago. The show risk designation was removed from the market profile. So when stocks are trading, you will actually have a designation, the OTC markets designation, show risk, meaning just like the information that's made public, the stuff that's going on, it could possibly just be a shell company that's not doing anything other than being a shell. But that shell risk was removed recently, which might be a reason why it's starting to move up a bit. So that's a really positive thing as well. Just getting that designation off, because that definitely legitimizes the company as an investment, for sure. Yeah. So, all right, man. Well,
I'm excited about this one.
I am too. Like I said, I bought 30,000 shares. Cost me like, I don't know, $600. It wasn't that expensive. We'll see what happens. I'm definitely interested to see how it goes. No doubt about that. So, all right. Well, maybe it's $400. Anyway, so I guess we'll move into everyone's favorite segment, 3 charts with Matt. And we'll start with the VIX like we always do, and finished 17.2, man. It's still moving down. That's for sure. So please take it away.
So what I predicted last week is that the VIX would get a small bounce off that 17-ish level. It sort of did, and now it looks like we're ready to move lower. If we break below 17 and close the daily candle below that, 1 or 2, I would say we head all the way down to that 14-ish level by next Friday, heading into options expiration.
Oh boy.
When you normally see kind of like this vol crush,
sure,
ahead of that option, that hedge roll. So that's what I'm kind of predicting right now, is that the VIX heads lower, the market continues grinding higher.
Yep.
We did see a little bit of volatility today in small caps, but to be fair, they're pretty overextended, and they're still making higher lows. That's a good sign, technically speaking. But we're not talking about small caps right now. So, although I do think they kind of give you a sentiment indicator as to the overall, speculative fervor of the market.
Sure.
And the next chart, SPG, I only want to bring up because, and it kind of relates to small caps and, rampant speculation. I think if a commercial real estate company, a mall REIT, particularly they own a lot of mall real estate, can climb back to all-time highs.
Sure.
And it looks like they might do it. They're kind of hovering right around that breakdown candle high, like that 119, 118, 120 area.
Sure.
If they can, and the chart looks good, that it looks like we're painting a bull flag right now. If you look at the monthly chart.
Yeah.
And if we can break above that level and break out and post new all-time high, new 52-week high, I think that's a very good sign for the market. The fact that it hasn't sold off right now, I think is very bullish. I think people are still hunting for yield. I think they're still looking for any stocks, any sectors that have yet to become quote unquote overvalued.
Sure.
So, I mean, beneath all the rotation, the IWM was down a little bit today. Beneath all that, I still think you have a lot of money searching for a home right now. And, so I'd keep buying the dip.
Sure.
Basically, was what I'm trying to say.
It was interesting because I think it was yesterday, it might have been the day before, that the markets were up and so was the VIX. I was like, that's just weird. seeing the markets up and the VIX up at the same time.
I think you just I think that was just a technical bounce. I think you had some buy orders at that level.
Sure.
So.
Okay. Ethereum. So we've been talking about this a while, saying we're expecting Ethereum to catch up to Bitcoin. And I had a down day earlier on. Actually, it's starting to come back a little bit. So please take it away.
So that 2000 level, I think, now becomes support for Ethereum. Bitcoin, whereas Bitcoin it's had a pretty hard time cracking that 61K level. Yet stalled. Ethereum has continued to set new all-time highs, and that outperformance, I think, is not only signaling a new altcoin cycle, but signaling, or kind of, giving evidence to the fact that Ethereum still needs to play catch up with Bitcoin.
Yeah. And we've been saying all along, and you put it very succinctly, if you're not going to invest in Bitcoin, what's your next, closest one? And Ethereum's it. NFTs, it's the new hotness right now. Do we know Tantachrome? Is it Ethereum network, their coin?
I know that's proof of concept.
Okay, sure.
And my guess is that, KLK is an ETH token.
Sure, I gotcha. So yeah, I mean, Ethereum, just get in. It's actually nice that it dipped a little bit. It had been hovering over 2,000 for a little while, so now is definitely a good time to get in. All right, well, that pretty much wraps it up. It was a nice, succinct little show here. Any predictions? So what is it, Wednesday? So Friday, where do you expect the VIX by Friday?
The VIX by Friday, probably right around this level.
Okay, pretty flat.
I'm
not even going to give you a sound effect there.
I think if the market sustains and we don't get a huge spike in the VIX,
sure,
I think next week we see a pretty big rally in the market and some bull crush.
Yeah, because pretty soon we're gonna start moving into expiration. It's getting there, and the dip that you say happens just about every time has kind of happened, and it's been an interesting week. I mean, we had a decent Monday, and then Tuesday and Wednesday were both like. So hopefully we can have a good Thursday. Maybe a flat Friday would be nice, and we can go ahead and have that big bull rush next week, which I'm hoping. I looked up some Stampede sound effects, and they're a little obnoxious. So I'm gonna have to keep searching there. That's for sure. But yeah, so TTCM, give it a look. Like I said, it's 1.3 cents right now. It might be worth it just to buy a bunch of shares. It's super long shot. It's emerging technology. It's technology that people don't even know is coming, let alone exists. So definitely do your research and take a look at it. You're taking on some risk here if you don't go too crazy. But the fact that it was able to double, I saw it because Rob, he was the one who first showed this one to me. He hit me up.
Rob?
Yeah. So he hit me up about when this was happening. He's like, take a look at what's happening. And it was like 113, 116%. Like it had a pretty big jump within the day. So, but it was on news. Like I said, it wasn't like a pump. It really was. As you can see, it had a lot of volatility at that time. And of course it sold off. But if you get in now, the next time it jumps up might be a good opportunity to sell and get it on the next dip. It's what happens a lot with these stocks. Watt is trading around $4. Happens with Watt. It's been happening the whole time it's going up. Blue Sphere, AITX, like they all have that where if it jumps up, there's going to be some sell off. People know it's going to happen, so people just sell it. So this is definitely something you could probably play with a little bit if you get in at a good time and you time the sales right. So, but that's pretty much it. Any last minute thoughts?
No. Don't lose hope. Most sentiment indicators are still positive right now.
Sure.
And we're just having a little bit of churn.
Yeah. I mean, it happens. It's gonna happen. That's for sure. All right, well, I guess that's it. We'll see you guys this weekend. Thanks for watching. Appreciate all the subscribers that have been coming back. Tell your friends. It's great. And we've gotten some comments about, enjoying the show, and then we've got, some shrimp people that say they really enjoy when we cover shrimp and, talking about how much they enjoy watching the show. It really helps. A lot of work does go into these, especially in post, editing them to make sure they sound good, they look good and everything. So those of you who's watching and coming back, really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys over the weekend. Cool.